Some people only start respecting you after you stop needing them. Remember that. My name is Walter Hargrove. I am 68 years old, a retired electrician, the son of a Vietnam veteran, and for most of my life, I believed family was the one thing a man could always come home to. I believed that until the night my daughter-in-law sat across from me at my son's dining table, folded her hands like she was closing a business deal, and told me to transfer half my retirement savings into their mortgage. Or leave. I want you to stay with me, because what happened after that changed the rest of my life. Welcome back to Quiet Justice Stories. Get comfortable. The people in these stories usually had every chance to do the right thing. They just chose not to. Let me start properly. My wife, Helen, died 3 years ago. We had been married for 34 years. She was the kind of woman who could quiet a room without raising her voice, and after she was gone, the house in Adelaide felt too large for one man. At the funeral, my son Adrian sat beside me, his hand on my shoulder, and said, "Dad, you shouldn't be alone. Move in with us. We've got the room." I believed him. That was my first mistake. I sold the small brick home Helen and I had owned for nearly 30 years. I kept a few boxes of clothes, my tools, her photograph, and the money we had saved together, 326,000 Australian dollars. Not wealth, not luxury, just security, earned through early mornings, sore knees, and decades of wiring houses other people got to grow old inside. I moved into Adrian and Brooke's spare room. For the first few months, things were fine. Not loving, not close, just fine. The kind of fine where you eat dinner together but nobody asks about your day. The kind of fine where you fix a loose cupboard door and someone says, "Thanks," without looking up from their phone. The kind of fine that depends on everyone pretending not to notice how cold the house has become. Then one Thursday evening, the pretending stopped. I had just come in from the back garden. I had repaired their leaking outdoor tap, the same tap a plumber had quoted them $420 to fix. I washed my hands, poured myself a glass of cold water, and sat down at the kitchen table. Brooke walked in. She sat opposite me. No smile, no hello, just Brooke, ready for a meeting. "Walter," she said, not Dad, not even something soft. "Walter. We need to talk about your contribution to this household." I set the glass down. "My contribution?" I asked. "I buy my own groceries. I repair half the things that break. I keep out of your way. What exactly are we talking about?" She looked at me as if I had disappointed her by making her explain. "You live here rent-free," she said. "No utilities, no mortgage contribution. And you're sitting on more than $300,000. That was the moment I knew. She knew the exact number, which meant Adrian had told her, my own son. I kept my voice calm. "That money is my retirement," I said. "Helen and I saved that for the years I can't work anymore." Brooke spread her hands across the table. "This house costs money to maintain. Adrian and I carry that burden every month. So we think it's fair that you contribute." "How much?" She did not hesitate. $150,000. The room went still. I could hear the clock above the oven ticking. She continued. "We'd apply it directly to the mortgage. A family investment." "A family investment," I repeated. "Or," she said, and this is the part I will never forget, "you may need to find somewhere else to live." She said it neatly, cleanly, like she was discussing paint colors. I looked at her for a long time. I did not shout. I did not plead. I did not explain myself to a woman who had already decided what I was worth. I picked up my glass, finished the water, rinsed it in the sink, placed it carefully in the rack, and walked to my room. Behind me, Brooke called, "Walter, we're not finished." But we were. That night, I sat on the edge of the bed holding Helen's photograph. "Well, love," I said quietly, "looks like I'm moving again." And somehow, in my head, I heard her laugh. Not cruelly, just knowingly. I did not leave the next morning. I am 68 years old. I did not survive 45 years as an electrician, one heart scare, a bad ladder fall in 1998, and marriage to a woman smarter than me by making emotional decisions. I waited. 3 days. Then I called my old mate Len, who knew a property agent. Her name was Marissa Clark. No nonsense. Sharp eyes. She sent me 5 listings before lunchtime. By Friday, I was standing inside a small 2-bedroom bungalow on Jacaranda Street, in a quiet part of Adelaide, where the roads were lined with old trees and people still brought their bins in for elderly neighbors. The house needed work. The kitchen tap was loose. The front step had cracked. The fence leaned badly to one side, as if it had been tired for years, and nobody had the heart to straighten it. But the light came through the lounge windows in a way I liked. Soft. Honest. I stood on the porch, looked down the street, and felt something I had not felt since Helen died. Peace. I made a cash offer that afternoon. Marissa called me 2 hours later. "It's yours, Walter. I want you to hold on to that word. Yours. At 68, after losing your wife, your home, and your place in your own family, the word yours can feel like breath returning to your lungs." I told Adrian that night. He was standing in the kitchen, eating leftover curry from a plastic container. "I bought a place," I said. "I'll be gone by the end of the month." He turned slowly. "What?" "I bought a house." His face changed. Not anger, not relief. Something weaker. "Dad, Brooke didn't mean it like that." I looked at him. This was my son. The boy I taught to ride a bike in a school car park. The boy who cried when his first dog died. The boy Helen worried about because he wanted everyone to like him. "She gave me an ultimatum," I said. "At your table, in your house, with your knowledge." He looked down. "It was just a suggestion." "No," I said. "A suggestion leaves a man with dignity. That was a demand." He had no answer. So I went to my room and packed. Moving day came cold and gray. Len brought his ute. We loaded my boxes in under 2 hours. Brooke stayed in the bedroom the entire time. Adrian carried one box, then stood in the driveway with his hands in his pockets while Len and I did the rest. Before I climbed into the ute, Adrian said, "You didn't have to do this." I looked at him. Neither did she. Len drove away. I did not look back. My first night on Jacaranda Street, I sat on the porch with instant coffee because I had not unpacked the proper machine yet. No television, no footsteps in the hallway, no tension waiting behind every closed door. Just the old trees, the yellow streetlights, and the sound of a quiet neighborhood settling into itself. Then a voice came from the porch next door. "You the man who bought the Ellison place?" I turned. A woman sat in a rocking chair wearing a yellow cardigan and holding a mug of tea like it contained government secrets. "Yes, ma'am," I said. "Walter Hargrove." She looked me over with calm suspicion. "June Callahan," she said. "I keep odd hours. I dislike lazy pruning, and I make the best apricot crumble on this street." I smiled for the first time in weeks. "Good to know." She lifted her mug. "And that fence of yours is disgraceful." That was how my new life began. For the first week I kept to myself. That is my nature. I unpacked slowly. I repaired the kitchen tap on the first day because apparently I cannot enter a house without locating a plumbing problem. I patched the cracked front step on the 3rd day. By the 5th day, I stood in the back garden staring at that leaning fence like it had insulted Helen's memory. From the next yard, June called, "That fence has been leaning since 2020. I looked over. She was sitting under a shade cloth reading a paperback. "And you never fixed it?" I asked. She turned a page. "It's not my fence, Walter." I laughed. A real laugh. The kind that surprises you when grief has made your chest feel like locked timber. "Fair point," I said. "The timber yard on South Road is decent," she added. "Tell them June sent you. They overcharge men who look like they know what they're doing." How do you know I know what I'm doing? She looked over her glasses. You fixed that tap before breakfast on your first day here. Then she went back to her book. Now, you need to understand something about June Callahan. She was 65 years old, a retired primary school headmistress, widowed 6 years earlier. Her husband, Malcolm, had died of a heart attack while fishing near Victor Harbor. According to June, he died holding a rod and ignoring medical advice, which is exactly how he would have chosen to go. She said it with a smile that held both grief and love, the kind of smile that takes years to earn. She had one daughter in Brisbane who called every Sunday. She grew tomatoes with the seriousness of a scientist. She drank tea so strong it could remove paint. And she had the rare gift of speaking plainly without being cruel. I was not looking for anyone. I want that understood. I was not lonely in a desperate way. I had my tools, my porch, my coffee, and a house nobody could ask me to leave. But June did not enter a person's life loudly. She arrived like weather. You noticed her slowly, then all at once. The apricot crumble came on the 9th day. I was on the porch after dinner when she appeared at the bottom of my steps with a covered dish. I told you I make the best crumble on this street, she said. I don't make claims I can't prove. I took it from her. It was warm. You didn't have to do this. I know, she said. I wanted to. I want you to sit with that. I know. I wanted to. There is a difference. For nearly 3 years, every kindness in my life had come with an invoice hidden underneath it. Every favor had a weight. Every invitation had a condition. But June gave me crumble because she wanted to, so I invited her to sit. She did. We talked for 2 hours. I told her about Helen, how she used to rearrange my toolbox when she was anxious. I always knew something was wrong before she said a word because my screwdrivers would suddenly be arranged by size. June laughed at that. That's marriage, she said, not the grand moments. The strange little habits that become proof someone was there. I nodded. Yes, I said. That's exactly it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Two people who had loved and lost, sitting under an Adelaide sky, letting silence be gentle instead of empty. Then June stood. The dish comes back clean, she said. Yes, ma'am. And don't scrape it with metal. No, ma'am. She walked back across the yard. I watched her go and realized I was still smiling. By the 3rd week, we had a routine, though neither of us admitted it. Morning coffee on our separate porches, sometimes talking, sometimes not. She would call across, Walter, did you eat a proper breakfast or did you have toast and self-pity? I had eggs, June. Microwaved? Scrambled. That is a confession, not a defense. On Saturdays, I went to the Central Market and began buying 2 of certain things without thinking. 2 bags of coffee, 2 bunches of spinach, 2 jars of honey from the old man near the fruit stalls. June never mentioned it. The first time I handed her the coffee over the fence, she just said, You are less hopeless than you first appeared. Then came Adrian's call. It was a Wednesday evening. I was replacing the last section of fence when my phone rang. Adrian. We had not spoken since moving day. I let it ring twice before answering. Adrian. Dad, he said. His voice was tight. Have you got a minute? I'm fixing a fence. Talk while I work. A pause. How are you settling in? Fine. Another pause. Things here have been rough. I stopped hammering. I know my son's voice. I knew something had happened. What is it? He told me. The company he worked for, a construction supply firm, had been cutting staff quietly since January. He had known his department was vulnerable, but had not told Brooke. He had not told me. 2 weeks after I moved out, he was made redundant. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, son. And I was. Whatever had happened between us, he was still my boy. A father's anger does not erase that. It only sits beside it, both of them breathing in the same room. We're okay for now, he said quickly. Too quickly. I've got some payout. I'm applying everywhere, it's just... What? Brooke wants to invite you to dinner. I picked up the hammer again. Does she? She wants us all to talk. I looked at the unfinished fence, the evening light turning orange through the leaves. I'll think about it. Dad, I said I'll think about it. I ended the call. From next door, June's voice came over the fence. You all right? I thought about lying. Then I thought better of it. I don't know yet. A pause. Then she said, Crumble? Despite everything, I laughed. Yes, I said. Crumble. What I did not know then was that Brooke's dinner invitation had very little to do with missing me. It had everything to do with fear. Saturday morning, I came back from the market with 2 bags in each hand. Do not judge me. I was unpacking when someone knocked at the front door. Not June. June did not knock at the front. She called from the garden like a civilized menace. I opened the door. Brooke stood on my porch. Alone. No Adrian. No warning. She wore a navy coat and held the strap of her handbag with both hands. Walter, she said. Brooke. Adrian doesn't know I'm here. I leaned against the doorframe. Then you should probably tell me why you are. She looked past me into the house, then back at my face. Something was different. The woman who had sat across from me at that dining table had been armored. This woman looked exhausted from carrying the armor. May I come in? I made coffee. We sat on the porch. She wrapped both hands around the mug but did not drink. I'm not here to ask you for money, she said. All right. I know that's what you think, and I know I earned that. But that isn't why I came. I said nothing. Silence is useful. People rush to fill it with truth if you let them. Brooke stared at the trees. Adrian doesn't know how bad things are. I waited. He knows about the second mortgage, she said. I went still. But he doesn't know why. The street was quiet. A magpie landed on the fence and watched us like it had paid for a ticket. I tried to start a business, Brooke said. Online homewares, handmade things. I told Adrian it was growing. It wasn't? She laughed once. No, it failed in 4 months. She set the mug down. I lost $82,000. Then I borrowed against the house to cover it. Then I moved money around, telling myself I'd fix it before anyone noticed. Her voice thinned. Now Adrian's out of work. We are 5 months from losing the house. I looked at her. This woman had asked me for $150,000 and called it fairness. Now I understood. Not excused. Understood. Fear had been sitting at that table with us that night. Fear wearing a good blouse and a hard expression. Why are you telling me? I asked. Why not Adrian? Her eyes filled, though she fought it. Because I don't know how. There it was. Small. Human. Terrible. And because, she continued, I think you're the only person who will tell me the truth without trying to protect me from it. I leaned back. The trees moved slowly above us. You have to tell him, I said. She flinched. All of it. The business, the second mortgage, the lost money, every lie. Walter. No, I said. You asked for truth. That is the truth. The only thing worse than a hole is letting your husband stand beside it without knowing it's there. She wiped under one eye quickly. And after I tell him? That is between you and Adrian. She nodded. But if you want me at that dinner, I said, you tell him before I arrive. That is the condition. She left an hour later. I stayed on the porch. June appeared by her tomatoes, pretending not to have noticed anything, which meant she had noticed everything. Visitor? She asked. My daughter-in-law. How was that? I thought about it. Better than expected? Worse than hoped? June nodded. That covers most family matters. Yes, I said. I'm learning. She looked at me then. You're a decent man, Walter. She said it plainly, like weather. Then she went back to her tomatoes. I sat with that for a long time. Dinner was Sunday evening. Adrian opened the door. His eyes were red. He knew. Before I could speak, he pulled me into a hug. A real one. The kind that lasts longer than comfort requires because apology has not yet found words. "Dad," he said, "I know." Dinner was quiet at first. Brooke had made roast lamb, Helen's favorite. I chose to believe that was intentional. We sat at the table, the three of us, surrounded by the kind of silence that comes after truth has entered the room and everyone is still learning how to breathe around it. Then Brooke put down her fork. "I owe you an apology," she said. I looked at her. "A real one," she continued. "Not one designed to make dinner easier." Adrian stared at his plate. "What I said to you was wrong. You had done nothing but help us, and I treated you like a financial problem to solve." Her voice trembled but did not break. "I was scared. That explains it, but it does not excuse it. I am sorry, Walter." The table was still. I took a breath. "I accept your apology." She closed her eyes briefly. "And I forgive you," I said, "because carrying it around will not help me." Adrian looked up. "But," I continued, "I am not moving back." Neither of them spoke. "That chapter is closed, not because I hate you, not because I want punishment, but because I found something on Jacaranda Street I did not know I still needed." "What?" Adrian asked softly. I thought of June in her yellow cardigan, her strong tea, her blunt kindness, the way her porch light looked in the evening. "Peace," I said. It was true, not the whole truth, but enough. Adrian nodded slowly. "I'm glad, Dad." And I believed him. We spent 3 hours going through their situation. I did not write a check. Let me be clear. I did not rescue them. But I helped them make a list. The bank, the lender, a financial counselor, the sale of one car, the cancellation of things they should never have been paying for, calls to make Monday morning, hard conversations to have before panic made decisions for them. That I could give. Time, experience, a steady voice, not my savings. When I left, Brooke hugged me at the door. At first it was stiff. She is not a natural hugger, and I respect that. Then her shoulders dropped. "Thank you," she whispered. "Take care of my son," I said. "I will." This time, I believed her. I drove home with the windows cracked open and the cool Adelaide air moving through the car. June's porch light was on. She sat in her rocking chair, tea in hand, yellow cardigan around her shoulders. Exactly where she should have been. "How was dinner?" she called. "Complicated." "Good." I laughed. "That's family," she said. "Yes," I replied. "It is." I stood there for a moment, one hand on my gate. "June?" "Hmm? Would you like coffee tomorrow morning? Not from across the fence, properly. Yours or mine?" She looked at me with serious consideration. "Mine," she said at last. "Your coffee is improving, but not enough." "That's fair." 7:30, she said. "Don't be late." I went inside. I sat on the edge of my bed and picked up Helen's photograph. For a long time, I said nothing. Then I whispered, "I'm all right, love." And for the first time in 3 years, I meant it. Some people only respect you after you stop needing them. But here is what I learned. The moment you stop needing them is also the moment you discover what your dignity is worth. Sometimes it is worth more than a spare room, more than a false peace, more than being tolerated by people who forgot the difference between family and convenience. And sometimes, 12 minutes across town, on a quiet street lined with old trees, beside a woman in a yellow cardigan who makes the best apricot crumble you have ever tasted, you discover that you were never the burden. You were the one holding everything together. My name is Walter Hargrove. I am 68 years old, and I am finally home.